So, folks, welcome. Good afternoon. Welcome back to some of the folks that have been joining us all day. This is your third session of the day, the One Industry sessions, the industry support and readiness. So, this session, of course, as you know, as you registered for, it's called Maximizing Your Promotional Presence Online and on Social Media. So, for folks that don't know, these three sessions are running again on Wednesday in 2 days' time. So, we'll have them the exact same time, same bat channel, same bat time on Wednesday to meet the demand of folks that couldn't get into all these sessions. So, to talk a little bit about this session and to start it off, social media has changed the way our business and our consumers communicate with each other, especially during this pandemic. We're hoping this session will allow you to engage with specific COVID-19 audiences in a more personal, open way than traditional communication methods. The focus on the session will be on building trust and confidence in your business and your product to create a genuine connection with your audience. So we have a bunch of experts on the line, as well as some operators who are experts as well. So Caroline Carter, who's marketing manager, and Shelley Magnuson, who's a lead, NewfoundlandLabrador.com and NL Tourism Operator Portal, and Lori Dempster, who's also a digital lead. They're going to be taking us through their presentation and kind of leading us down this path of how your business can maximize its potential with its presence online. So we also have some tourism operators who are pros and doing an unbelievable job in this part of our business world, and that's Karen Smith of Sea Glass B&B and Studio, Lori McCarthy of Cod Sounds, Marika Gao of Artisan Inn and Campbell House. All of them are joining us today, and they're going to be in on part of the presentations with the various folks from the Department of Tourism, Culture, something and recreation. I can't remember what it was now. I can't even think about this now. My mind's fried. So we're going to be talking about a bunch of stuff, and the crowd's going to lead us through. And the first one up is going to be Shelley. But before I throw to Shelley, I want to make sure everyone realizes a couple of things on the platform we're using today. The best thing to do is put yourself on mute if you're not speaking, and also to turn off your video, so you can. It's a better product that we're presenting to you. It will help eliminate background interference. What we're going to do too, as the folks get to the presentation, we're going to go into individual breakout rooms to get a little bit more of operator dialogue and some small group talk. So when we get into that part of the world, we can bring our cameras back on and our mics back on and have a chat when we get to the breakout rooms. But the other thing I should probably say is this is going to be recorded, guys, and HNL will put it on its YouTube channel later. So the session is going to be recorded. So for folks who can't make it or want to go back and review what's being said, there'll be an opportunity to do that. So I'm going to throw right over to Shelley and to Caroline and give them the virtual floor. So ladies, it's yours.
Well, thank you, Stan, for the introduction and inviting us to be part of this. So as Stan said, I'm the lead for our website, NewfoundlandandLabrador.com, and for the portal. That's the online system that tourism operators, how they manage their data with us, their business listing, travel offers, accommodation statistics. So I'm the lead for that program. I work very closely with destination management organizations, with our product development team, our team at Target Marketing, and in-house our digital team in terms of what kind of content we're going to be creating for the website. So for the next 20 minutes or so, I'm going to talk to you about 3 opportunities for tourism operators to take advantage of that we're offering. That's business listings, travel offer listings, and doing a community audit. When I finish that, I'm going to have Caroline Carter, our manager, come on and talk to you about our stay-at-home year program for the resident marketing campaign that we ran last year and this year. And then I'm going to do a little case study with one of our operators. Karen Smith is the owner-operator of Sea Glass B&B and Studio. So let's just talk about what Newfoundland and Labrador is and what's its purpose in our whole marketing activity campaign. So all of our marketing activities, it could be TV, radio, newspaper, social media links, travel media content, all of that works very hard to create and cultivate and convert travel intention. So turning someone who's looking for travel information to an actual traveler that's here on the ground. Our advertising campaigns are created to increase traffic to our tourism website in order to increase the leads and sales to tourism operators. So how can we translate that travel intent to a booking with you. So the website caters to many different users. We know we have travelers on that are thinking about having a holiday to Newfoundland and Labrador. There's also visitors who are on there and they're actually booking and they are coming and they're planning their trip. So we provide content in very different formats. We'll have like big photos like you see it here, lots of inspirational content. And then we get down to once somebody it has booked, we provide different tactical type of information. And this is where the tour operators come in. So the real tactical information comes in the plan and book section and the travel offers. So this is a directory of tourism offerings in the province. And I wanted to just take you through some advice when you are looking at renewing your website listing. So your website listing has a description field and it's 500 characters. We want to make sure that you use those 50 characters to best shed your business and your offering in the best light. So what we recommend is number one, looking through your 500 character description, making sure that you're not putting in any kind of redundant information. So a lot of operators, what I see them doing, they actually have the name of their business down here in their description. And that's taking a huge chunk of those characters. They're also putting in their community where they're located. They're putting in their website address and season. All of that information is down further, appears somewhere else. So my number one advice for operators is to take a peek at their business listing, whether it's online, newfoundlandlabrador.com, or if it's on their the travel guide. And take a look at your pictures as well. This one's Claude Sound Motel, really nice property. They have added some pictures and it's a little grainy. So also take audit of what your pictures are. Operators can add up to 5 images on their business listing. They can't be black and white or collages or logos. So we only accept full color ads, full color images. And as you're developing these business listings, it's also a good idea just to look at another destination's website to see what businesses are putting in their listing. So you could look, Nova Scotia, Alberta, BC, or Norway, and get a sense of what kind of things as a traveler, what are travelers looking for in a business listing. You can also look at your TripAdvisor page as well to find out what are your unique selling points. Down on the bottom of the website or the business listing, there's a section to put your social media links. So there's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and review sites. So the review sites, it could be TripAdvisor, but it could be Google's review or BB Canada. They have a review page. You can add all those. When somebody is planning a travel vacation, they go to so many sites. And so they'll go to the airline site or the ferry site, all these businesses that they'd like to attend, then they're going to TripAdvisor. And they're going there, they're looking for reviews. So let's make that transition from your business listing here, which is often the first impression that travelers will get of your business. And if your TripAdvisor link is here, it just makes that one step easy for them. They don't have to search for it. When we have business listings that do not have images submitted, let me just show you what it looks like here. Actually, I'm going to pick a different search. If someone doesn't submit an image, a map shows up. So just a little pointer there as well, that if you've decided not to put any pictures in, this is how you would look, compared to your competitors. So it's always a good idea to add pictures. And while you're on your business listing, kind of reviewing it, you should really double check the map. We're seeing a lot of people that they're going to Google to get their lat and long for their business. But what we find is it's not exact enough. So this one here, Abby's Garden Suites, is very exact because that's where the business is, right in the street, right there. But many people are just going in at this level and clicking on it to get their lat and long, and it's not exact. So we just want you to make sure you remember to kind of zoom in to make sure that location information is correct on our website. Another little hint for you on the business listings is if you operate a food and beverage business, we've been taking food and beverage listings for 2 years now, and we only have 177 listed with us. So there's a lot of missed opportunity because they're not putting in their food and beverage listings there. So if you know of anybody or yourself, please apply for a food and beverage listing. And another hint for another business group is festivals and events. Often festival events will submit their information to us, and it's really early because our travel guide deadline is May 31st of the previous year, and a lot of festival events just don't have the dates nailed down. So what we'd like to see is that they come back to the portal once their dates are selected and update to the correct dates, because people go to our website, they filter, and they're looking for events while they're here and on the ground. So you can see an example here is Point Leamington Winter Fun. So when they submitted the information, they just knew it was in March. But if they came back in after, once the dates was selected, we'd like to see that. And so our users are looking for that information. The travel offer section of the website is one of the most used, viewed of Newfoundland and Labrador.com. So travel offers are tours, experience, anywhere the visitor can kind of participate in an activity that is offered here in the province. They don't have to be complicated. You'll see examples here of 5 or 6 day travel offers, or you might have just an afternoon. They can be any length of time. They don't need to have an overnight accommodation, and they don't need to have a food and beverage element to it. And often visitors are already have these experiences in their own, under their own roof. So it's very easy to kind of add those through the portal. And the real great value of the travel offers is that not only do they sit on one of the most popular websites or pages on our website, is we use them to create content for newsletters, social media links, and our travel media team and travel trade, they use them as well for their planning. So travel media, they may come and ask, can you tell me about the little inns that have opened up in 2020? That could be a travel media inquiry. Or do you have any agritourism opportunities? And these travel media inquiries, they come to us, we need to fill them very fast. It could be from the Globe and Mail or the New Yorker Magazine or National Geographic. And we look to the travel offers to see what's in the marketplace to respond to those inquiries. And I've got a couple of examples here. I was talking to Erin Skinner this morning, and she's our travel media specialist, one of them. Jillian Marks is another. So recently, she had an inquiry from the Globe and Mail, and they were looking for small inns and B&Bs that opened up during the pandemic. So Erin looks to our travel offer listings, and she pitches Bumblebee Bite. They have a package here, and Hue and Draw. They have a little love package. So they were able to pitch that to the Globe and Mail and react very quickly. Another travel media opportunity came, and they pitched Indian Falls Chalet. So they were looking for angling offerings. Let's see, what else on my notes here? The other great thing about the travel offers is it just adds another place where travelers' eyeballs will see you again. So if I'm just going to show you an example of what Sea Glass has done recently. So they've got their new travel offers for 2021 online, and they're working with another travel operator, tour operator. So this one here, Bestie Vacation, Sea Glass Guest House and Studios, they're working with Wind at Your Back guided adventures. So when you have a partner, it's not necessary, but when you have a partner, the travel offer appears on your business listing and any partner that you're working for. So you just kind of put that in the back end, and it displays automatically on the website. I said it doesn't have to be anything complicated. If you're not doing any kind of experiences, I mean, it could be simple as, on your deck, offering a rum tour tasting, excursion, or learn how to cook mussels or lobsters or toutons. It doesn't have to be anything that's too taxing or complicated and take a lot of time to do. The other thing about the travel offers is you really need to get them in now, because we're doing all of our planning for 2021 now, and we never know when a travel media request comes. So I try to encourage all tourism operators for your travel offers to get them in as soon as you can. So that's the business listings and the travel offers. And now I just want you to check around and do an audit of your community, your the scenic touring route that you're located on, and to see if there's any business listings that are missing. Often the travel generator in your community or region is operated by a not-for-profit or a volunteer organization, and they're the hiking trails in your community, museums, festival events, all of those are travel generators to your community. Just take a peek to see which listings are not there or which do not have any images or descriptions, and reach out to your municipality or the local Lions Club, anybody who's responsible for a travel generator in your community. And just remind them that they are tourism operators, and people learning about the trail in your community is important so that you can fill your seats in your restaurants and your beds in your hotels. So Mitts and Trail, they're there, which is great, but they're not using all 500 characters of their description to get someone excited about going to this trail, and there's no pictures. So we see a lot of that, and we'd like to encourage our tourism operators to take a peek, not only your own content, but the content that's there for your community. So that's my 3 top hints on how to take advantage of Newfoundland and Labrador.com and how to put your best foot first. And because those business listings, they are often, and the travel offers are often a visitor's first introduction to you because they find it on our website. So it's really important to have those descriptions and those pictures that are enticing and enough that the operator will, or the traveler will pick up the phone and call you or click on your book now button. I just wanted to give you the heads up that we'll be coming out with a couple of e-newsletters over the next couple of weeks. we're going to be launching the resident campaign for this summer, and Carol Ann Carter is going to talk about that. Also, you will be receiving an email that your 2022 renewal is coming up. So regardless if you have changes or not, you need to go through the portal and by May the 31st to update your listings in order to get in the 2022 Traveler's Guide. So now I'm going to swing it over to Carol Ann, and Carol Ann's going to be presenting about the resident program. And just give me a second here. I'll get her presentation up and running for her.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, good.
There.
Perfect. So thanks so much, Shelley. So as Shelley said, your business listings and your travel offers are really, really important. And not only for, remaining on the website and being responsible for non-residents that are planning in advance and whatnot to come here at any time of year, but as we've seen recently, the residents, and I'll go through some numbers for you. The resident traveler is also an important component of that. So I just, so 2020, I know we all know was a very unique and challenging year for everybody. Once travel restrictions were lifted, though, we were able to launch a resident advertising campaign to encourage Newfoundlanders and Labradorians to travel at home, get out and see the province, and vacation at home for 2020. And we did launch it on the 24th of June at Cabot Tower. We flicked the switch on our home logo on Cabot Tower, and we officially launched the campaign. There was TV, a series of television ads, and we also had a series of radio ads, which we were very fortunate to have Gordon Pinsent voice for us. We had a ton of digital display advertising. And all of these messages and advertising creative pieces encouraged residents to travel to vacation at home. And the call to action was to visit stayhomeyear.ca. We also had digital ads that featured single travel offers from travel operators. We see here the Sea Glass B&B and Studio example, almost a wedding package. So these themselves were advertised throughout throughout the whole campaign period, and we saw some really great results with these packages as well. We on social, we ran ads in our social channels that again encourage people to visit stayhomeyear.ca. We ran those on Facebook and Instagram. And in addition, we also provided a toolkit to tourism operators that had logo files and tips on how to participate and how to further promote Stay Home Year 2020. And we did have quite a few operators that used the toolkit and incorporated their logos into the Stay Home Year logo, and they participated and shared imagery and messages on their social media. The next one we'll see some of that in action. There you go. So people did use it, and it really helped extend the message. So I guess stayhomeyear.ca was like almost like a splash page, we'll call it, speaking directly to residents. And this was like the portal, for lack of a better word, for our residents to get to newfoundlandlabrador.com. So this was a travel hub. This is where we sent all of the traffic. Easy thing for people to remember. Stayhomeyear.ca. And this was the online, the hub. It featured trip ideas and plan and book links and articles and beautiful imagery from images people have taken and shared on social media, and also travel offers. So we had about, here we go, travel offers. We had about 80, I think it was exactly 80 or 81 travel offers that we promoted and that appeared on stayhomeyear.ca. We'll see sea glasses there at the second spot right there. Each time somebody would land on the spot, it would kind of do a regroup, so everyone got kind of a share of the position of where their package appeared. So we're going to go through and look at, Shelley's going to go through some of the results that Seaglass did see during this campaign, and as well on newfoundlandandlabrador.com. But they're very, very important, and they're free, offered free to operators and you can put as many travel offers as you like on newfoundlandandlabrador.com. We choose one of them for participation in the Stay Home Year campaign. And like I said, we did see 80 this year. So that meant there was 80 travel operators that participated with numerous travel offers each, which is really great to see. And we hope that we see an increase in that in 2021. So I just want to end this part by just going over the overall campaign results. We know from our research, I know Michaela did a presentation this morning, we know from our research that if the Stay Home Year campaign did produce results for us. 9 out of 10 residents were aware of the Stay at Home Year 2020 advertising campaign, and 43 of those who were aware of the campaign said it influenced them to take an overnight trip within Newfoundland and Labrador. So just looking at here now, the overall Stay Home Year campaign results. So in total sessions to Stay Home Year was almost 46,000, and this is just residents we're talking about here. So, and the campaign was launched late, so it was June 24th. So we were really, really pleased with these numbers. We look at the clicks on the plan and book icons there, 26,500, and clicks on the featured packages here to operators, 9,000. So again, hugely impressive. We'll go through Seaglass's results in a minute, but if we go to the next slide, we'll be able to see the Newfoundland and Labrador. There we go. So referrals from stayhomeyear.ca to Newfoundland and Labrador.com, 25,500. And we also saw that residents and summer folks going on the website were there for higher than average amount of time. 6 minutes and 33 seconds was the average, which is like 3 times the regular time on site for online visitors. So that was also another great result that we saw for the Come Home Year campaign. And I think the last slide, yeah, here we go. And Shelley will get into this now when we talk about Seaglass's, Karen's results. The actual ads that ran, all 80 had their share of running in rotation over the several weeks that we had the digital campaign running. And the total number of clicks on those single travel offers on those digital channels, whether it's VOCM, CBC, Weather Network, Facebook, what have you, totaled 23,656, which again is incredible results from people within Newfoundland and Labrador. So we're really encouraged with the numbers and with the research for 2020 Stay Home Year, and we will absolutely be launching a province-wide robust Stay Home Year campaign again this year, and we will be launching it much earlier this time. We'll be looking at week of May 10th as a launch. Therefore, we need to get anyone that's wants to participate or have their travel offers put in there for us to consider taking one of them and putting it up on stayhomeyear.ca. We need to have them in by the end of April. Again, Shelley had mentioned you're going to be getting some communication over the next week or two, and that's going to give you the deadlines, and there'll be specifics there on what you if you need help or whatnot, tips and tricks and phone numbers if you need any help. So it's really important. The power of these business listings and these travel offers is just is big, and I encourage all our operators to take full advantage of these free promotional opportunities and make sure you maximize your space and your presence on nl.com and through these advertising programs. Doesn't cost you anything. You can add numerous travel offers and really make the most of your business listing, so that when potential travelers go on there, their first impression is wow. Anyway, so I think I'll leave it there for stayhomeyear.ca, and I'll throw it back to Shelley. And I think Shelley's going to go over some individual performance numbers for Seaglass.
Okay, so January 2020, Karen and I touched base about her listing. She was year 4 into her operation since she opened, and we kind of worked through those steps that I told you about. Let's look at your business listing, your travel offers, and how you can maximize your presence on our website. So prior to that conversation, 2019, she had one business listing on our website. And during that year, 539 page views and 185 referrals. So when she did a review of her content on her website, we found a few opportunities for her. So the first one was to add her shop as a listing. So before, for 4 years, she was only having one business listing in the travel guide and on Newfoundland and Labrador.com. So if you have a business that has offerings from different business lines, so she had her accommodation listing, and now we got her to do a shop listing, because travelers will go onto our website and they'll search for shops differently and at a different time than they would accommodations, for example. And in the travel guide, it's divided up between all the accommodations are here, all the shops are grouped together, and all the attractions and experiences as well. So now she's increased her presence by 2 listings. She was also already offering some great experiences at her property. So we were reviewing her Facebook page, and we found out about these experiences she was offering, and suggested that she should also add these experiences to Newfoundland and Labrador.com. So she added 3 of those. And then we were running the stay-at-home year.ca. She had her package in by the deadline, so she was able to take advantage of the resident campaign that we ran last year. She ran this almost a wedding package. She can tell you a bit about the inspiration to that one a little bit later. And she appeared on stay-at-home-year.ca. Part of that campaign was 10 weeks of online advertising. So Karen was in the mix of those 80 other businesses that appeared on online advertisements. The other thing was my colleague Jillian Marks, who's one of the travel media specialists. She was on CBC Crosstalk for a staycation episode that they had, and that was one of the offering that Jillian brought to that media, and she was so her offer of almost a wedding was discussed during the Crosstalk Radio 1. So what were the results from and the comparison between 2019 and 2020 by increasing her profile on our websites? So for 2020, her percentage increase of page views was 357%. So there was almost 2,500 page views of all of her travel offers and her 2 business listings. Referrals, we count every time someone clicks the email address, telephone, a traveler is on your business listing or your travel offer, and they engage and go to your website, or they email or call you, we consider that a lead or a referral. So her referrals for 2020 increased 35%. So she had over 600 referrals to her business. So those were the results in terms of for awareness and things like that. But pandemic started just as we were getting underway with improving her presence on our website and things like that. So I just want to have a little discussion with Karen there now and talk about her experience on improving her presence on the website and the reality of what's actually happened and how she's going to pivot for this year and what lessons learned. Hi, Karen, are you there?
Yes.
Sounded a bit like Patty there, Shelley.
Pardon?
You sounded a bit like Patty Daddy there. Okay, we can see
did
Karen
I?
now. Yes.
Are you there, caller?
Hi.
Hi, Karen. Thanks so much for participating in this session with me.
Yes,
I was wondering if
thank
you can
for
tell us a little
asking.
bit about your experience.
Yes, thank you for including me in this session. Well, we started out, this year will be our 5th anniversary of officially being open. And the first 3 years we were only here for 2 months out of the year and only open for about 6 weeks. So last year when we started putting up all these different packages was our first official year being open for an entire season, which I'll say like the middle of May to the end of October. If the bookings are there, we'd stay open as long as we got bookings. So so we put together the stained glass experience because my husband's a stained glass artist for over 40 years. So we put that in with some discussion with Shelley, and that was the first experience we had in. And so then we had a College of North Atlantic student placement with the Tourism and Hospitality program. So it was all done virtually. And of course, we're only a 2-bedroom bed and breakfast, not a lot to do there, but we asked her if maybe she could do some promotional stuff and help us out with things. And her being an almost bride herself, said that she was on this Facebook page for all these people that had their weddings canceled. And maybe we could look at putting something together for all those folks that missed out on their weddings. So I thought about it a little bit, and then I thought, well, we'll call it almost a wedding package. So we offered a photo session. I'm a photographer as well. We offered a couple stained glass course, and Michael made a beautiful little wound hearts as a gift for our guests. We had a bottle of champagne and picnic lunches, and just it was a 2-night stay. So so we offered that, and then I was thinking, well, you don't have to have gotten married, but you might be getting a divorce after the pandemic. So we figured we'll do another. And actually, somebody had said to me, well, we're already married. You got anything for us? So I came up with almost a divorce. So it was kind of, has the pandemic, what did I want to say? Does your couple need to escape the stresses of the COVID-19 pandemic? And we're offering you an experience to reset, relax, and rekindle. So that was kind of the pretense to that. And it was basically the same. We were offering a mini photo session for the couple. The only thing difference was there wasn't a little stained glass gift as a wedding gift. Now, while we thought that these were wonderfully clever offers, because of the pandemic, our biggest challenge was the fact that we're a bed and breakfast and not an individual unit, or like individual rentals or standalone home houses or glamping or whatever. And that's actually the couple that booked with us, and that's part of their photo session that just went by. They came from Fogo Island, actually, and that was really sweet. And they really enjoyed themselves. However, that was the only booking we had. So that was a little disappointing for us. But what we did notice because of the pandemic was nobody really wanted to stay in a bed and breakfast, and they wanted big places with fire pits and hot tubs and animals and pets and families. And of course, that's not our accommodation. For the most part, we noticed in the years operating that our people were generally tourists and mostly retired people because they really seemed to like the B&B experience. So I think this year we're going to offer the same packages because I think that's still something wonderful if we can get anybody in to do it. And also we're looking at, we're really emphasizing the hiking. We noticed that in our area, there isn't anywhere to eat. So we're offering a charcuterie board this year on a 2-night stay, and we're offering picnic lunches, which was inspired by the My Food hike, which is wonderful. And I participated many times in that. So I think it makes it a little easier. That's one more thing that guests don't have to think about. And we've paired up with Barbara Suley Parsons with Wind at Your Back, because she's offering some wonderful things. And of course, we would make the a connection for that and do the booking and not leave it up to our guests. We would take care of it if they're interested. And also, I've been a fitness instructor for a long time, and I do a little fitness program. So we've offered one for hopefully to get some staycationers, retired staycationers, and it's a weekday package to get out of the house, get the smell of house off you, and come out and spend some time with us, and do a kind of like a very stretch, relax exercise program on the deck in the morning, and then carry on with your day kind of thing. So, and the stained glass course, and if they want a photo shoot and anything like that can still be offered. What we have is what we're going to offer, everything we have. So hopefully we'll have a little better year this year. Well, all the best to it, I guess. All the best to everybody. Yeah. So
Thanks so much,
that
Karen.
was a
Really
big
appreciate
ramble,
your
wasn't it?
thanks so much. It was great. I really appreciate you participating. And now we're going to hand it over to my colleague, Lori Dempster. So I'll stop sharing.
Laura, you good to go?
Stan,
I am.
yep.
Yeah. Okay, I got two Loris here. So we're going to have Lori Dempster, who's the digital lead with the Department of Tourism, Culture, Arts and Recreation. And Lori is going to have another Lori with him, Lori McCarthy of Cod Sounds, and as well as Marika Gao of the Artisan Inn and Campbell House. So I'm going to throw it right to Lori Dempster, and he can kick off his part of the session. And when we come back, Lori, we'll do our breakout rooms.
All right, that sounds great. Thanks, Stan. My name is Lori Dempster. I'm the digital lead for Newfoundland and Labrador Tourism. And I'm happy to be joined today by Lori McCarthy from Cod Sounds and Marika Gao from the Artisan Inn and Twine Loft. So I was asked to speak to you guys today about content and social media, and in particular, some concepts and tactics and some best practices going through 2020 and as we roll into 2021 with some similar challenges to last year. So there's four key things that I wanted to talk about, and I just wanted to present the topic, but then bring in both Lori and Marika to talk about some of their experiences. So the first thing I was going to cover was talking about your brand as an operator and storytelling, creating content. The third thing talks about listening to the audience and different ways to engage. And then finally, I'm going to wrap it up by talking about a couple of ways that you can do that on Newfoundland and Labrador's channels. All right, so our first topic, it talks about telling your story. So good storytelling and good content really go hand in hand. So we find that the best content that we share from Newfoundland and Labrador tourism really comes as a mix of inspiration and information. And the best stuff is usually in the sweet spot. So we always encourage people to tell their story, to be authentic about it, and in doing so, to develop their brand. But really, the question becomes, well, how do you do that? Well, the best way to do it is to share those things about your brand that are unique and interesting, and then to share them with your audience and to do it regularly. So one great example of that, and I'll bring in Lori McCarthy into the conversation, is through Cod Sounds. So this is a couple of screenshots from her Instagram page, and this is a series of Instagram stories, or I should say these are videos that she put together revolving around different recipes. Now, this is some of the coolest content that I've seen any operator really anywhere in the world. It's not just Newfoundland produce. These videos just exude everything about not only the Cod Sounds brand, but even further, and I would say sort of the DNA of Newfoundland and Labrador. They're just so authentic, they're engaging, they're fun, they're informative. But I mean, if I was living in Burlington, or if I was living in Calgary or British Columbia or Quebec, I know that seeing something like this would really motivate me, not only to try to engage more with Cod Sounds, but I'd get really interested in Newfoundland and Labrador as a whole. So as someone who is a cultural food expert, Lori, would you like to speak to these videos, maybe talk about how they were created and maybe some of the things that they've helped to do for your business?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so first of all, I'm not an expert in anything, but when you talk about authenticity, we just came off a 6-week session that we did that I put together for GMIS. And one of the things that we talked about big time was storytelling, and that authenticity piece, right? And like I say to people, you can't manufacture authenticity. You're either authentic or you're not, right? So Vanessa has lived behind the scenes in Cod Sounds forever, like since there was Cod Sounds. She is, I'm telling you, what you see is what you get with Vanessa, whether you're in the woods with her, she's, you know, whether she's on Facebook or wherever she's to. And yeah, she has that attractive personality. She, you know, she loves what I do. She has loved it for a really long time. And when she came on board, it was just about helping out. It was helping out with social media. It was helping out with just little things. And then when all this happened, I actually didn't. I might be the difference in a lot of businesses here. But last year, I actually didn't put anything in the market. I returned everyone's money and I put all my content online. And so all of a sudden I went from I seen it like you did, in that if I could, you know, I just got to tell my story to the 6 or 8 people that came out and hung around the fire with me. What if I could tell my story to a global audience? And all of a sudden now I had a global audience to chase, which was good and you know, a bit overwhelming, because then you're just a really tiny fish in a really big pond. But what I learned and have learned is that anyone can get online and do cooking classes or cooking, you know, teach people how to cook something. But what you can't get are the stories, and they're your stories, and nobody else has them like you, right? So no matter how many people go out and do this, is because the market is flooded with it now, but you still have your own market, right? And one of our biggest markets was my email list, my email subscription list. And anyone who has not taken the time to build that, I'm going to tell you, it's the most powerful marketing tool out there. So I went back on Facebook. The reason we went back on Facebook is because all of a sudden I had this global audience now, and I had to figure out a way to reach them. And I first put into the market what I put in foraging workshops, and I did a bunch of them. And then as Christmas started coming on, Christmas used to be a really big, you know, financial bump for me, because I would come out with all my marketing all my programming for January, February, March, April. So it was all my locals and it was all my local market. And so when I reached out to my email list, there's only 6 or 8 people that join us on these things. That's my maximum on them. So they would sell out really quickly. And now all of a sudden I had this huge audience to get to. So we went back on Facebook and we started this. And it wasn't you know, I don't know about you, but I am not a big fan of the like this video, share this video and tag someone in it. Like, I just wanted to give people who followed us, people who supported me for so long, I just wanted to give back to them in this time, because I'm sitting around home with my 2 kids, working from home like everyone else is, and we could use a laugh. And, you know, it doesn't cost me anything to turn on the camera. And so we went to Vanessa and I was like, why don't we just do like what you do? Like, just do what you do. And I was like, do you want to do it? And she's like, yes, I'll do it. And if you only have to watch a couple of these to realize that that's her personality, right? Mm-hmm. So we've reached a huge audience in just a little tiny amount of time. And then of course my programming went online to purchase. So this is marketing for my purchasable products, right? Mm-hmm. But this is not send a friend, tag a friend, all that. And then I got into, I won't go into it now, but we got into partnerships with local people, and it wasn't financial agreements, it was true community building. And that also is about reaching a local audience, and how much we all as small businesses rely on our communities and our local audiences. But yeah, I don't know if that's where you wanted to go with that, Lori, but
that's great. No, that's great. No, it's so real and it's so authentic. And I mean, you're talking about the difference between this and, sending out, a sales flyer. Well, I mean, this is content marketing, and it's a
Yeah.
great example of it. And it's using the channels where you have the best following to do so. So yeah, it's great. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to talk about the Artisan Inn, and I'll welcome in Marika. And so I just wanted to talk about some of the things that she does really well here. So this is, again, a good mixture of information and inspiration. So the post on the left, this is an Instagram post, which is mostly inspiration. It's not necessarily about the Artisan Inn. It's at a place nearby. We're talking about Spiller's Cove, but it does have a little bit of information in there where she mentions the new UNESCO Geopark. So you're getting some unique selling propositions, and you're getting some unique attractions and tourism drivers for the area. And in talking about those things and in presenting that through her social channels, really kind of she's setting herself up as a content expert on the area. And then moving to the right, this is an Instagram story, which she has several of these that she's created for the Artisan Inn, which are pinned to her Instagram profile. And this is a little bit more informational, but she's going through one of the properties of the Nathaniel House Vacation Home. And there's a whole series of slides that talks about the history of the place and a little bit of information, but it's a great mixture of exterior shots, interior, etc., the surroundings, and it's just really beautiful content. So I don't know, Marika, if you are on, if you wanted to just jump in and maybe talk about the process you go through to create this, and just if you've had what kind of feedback you've had from this type of stuff, because it's really great stuff that you're pushing out.
Thank you. Yeah, so I guess I'll kind of start with the Instagram post because that's what you started with. One thing I'll say in the process is it's so important in the age of Instagram and stuff to learn how to use your camera. And, everyone talks about learning how to use Instagram and this and that. If you can't afford to hire a professional photographer to take pictures, it might be worth it you can do it through Googling or YouTube, or just hire someone for a one-day kind of professional development thing. But learning how to either use your camera in manual mode or your iPhone, and then learning how to do slight editing. As an accommodator, I don't know who else is accommodator on the phone. It's really hard to take interior photos of houses because of lighting and this and that. So just learning those techniques is kind of really important. With regards to the Instagram story, it's interesting because yes, I wanted to promote the fact there's a geopark. I want to promote the fact that there's outdoor things you can do. But one of the key things that I'm trying to slide in there is actually the phrase that is, as we're planning for our upcoming season. And one of the things I found throughout this entire pandemic is the necessity to communicate what you're planning and what you're thinking and what you're doing, even if you do not have a definitive idea of what it is. Just like in the past where, and I don't know if Lori's going to touch on this in future slides, but when we used to talk about TripAdvisor and operators used to say, well, I'm not on TripAdvisor. And then everyone else in H&L would say, well, you're on it. Someone else is talking about you. If you are not presenting your own story about how your business is getting through the pandemic, or how it's not, or how you're pivoting, or what you're deciding to do, people will either make up their own story about you, or they will go to other people that don't have that information for the story. And I cannot count the times as an operator who's been communicating our story, how many times people have asked me about what other businesses are doing. And they're giving me a voice to talk about another business when I don't have the answers and don't want to answer the question because they're not getting it directly from that business. So that's been something super powerful for us in developing that trust of people saying, I know that they're figuring it out and working on it, and they're at least acknowledging the fact that there's something that we have to pivot around. And then the thing on the right, I'm actually a participant in one of the GMIST programs, which is the destination storytelling. So that kind of inspired me to start doing these Instagram slides. People go on our Instagram. Our business is a little bit complicated in the sense of we started as a 2-bedroom B&B, then we grew a little bit, then we took on a vacation management program. So we manage a bunch of houses throughout the town of Trinity that you can rent as a whole house, and we have the dining room. So I was trying to figure out a way as how is it if someone lands on my social media that they can more easily understand this. So now I'm trying to create these pin storylines so that people can browse through our houses. But in the end, I'm always trying to shoot them to our website, which has all the rate information and things like that, the things that might, change, or that I have more control over that, where the Instagram and the Facebook stuff is stuff that I want to kind of have presented either flying by or the really important things pinned and telling the story in that way.
Yeah, you're giving them the content. You're giving really interesting content, but you're then funneling them to your landing page, which would be your website. And then the other, I was going to say, great point earlier. You were talking about the fact that the conversation is happening, whether or not you're a part of it, and that's so true. All right, that's great. Okay, so the second thing we were going to talk about was leveraging your customer's journey. So, that last that Instagram post there from Spiller's Cove is a good example of this, because understanding that obviously your customers are not just looking for just the product or service that you're offering, and helping to create relevant content around that is what we've found successful operators do. So some ways you can do that are to leverage the uniqueness of your surroundings. So in Marika's case, it could be the hiking trails or the geopark. The uniqueness of your brand story. So in Lori's case, it could be the story of how she came to create Cod Sounds, and her background as a chef, etc. It could be the uniqueness of you as an operator and your experiences, and perhaps the previous life before you started the business, etc. And really creating that mix of we find that works really well, as I said, is that mix of information and inspiration. So I'll jump back to Lori again, and I'll just talk about the online workshops, which I think she's already kind of touched on. But the two things that I wanted to call out were the recipe index that she's got on her website, which is just this fantastic archive of great information. But then the fact that as you mentioned earlier, you were running workshops where there might be 6 participants, and then because of COVID, you've pivoted, or I don't know if we're allowed to use that term anymore, but you've decided to evolve your business model. And I'm really interested to hear what you have to say about how has that how's that gone for you? What was that like, pivoting or evolving your business model, and what do things look like now?
Again, like everyone, we're trying to figure it out as we go, right? And just before Christmas, when I'm looking at what was going to get me through the winter, and I'm looking at it in very short term. Okay, so yes, I was looking at the next 6 months. Like because things are changing so fast. And then I looked at what is it that, so Newfoundlanders are not coming home for Christmas. That's like super sad for all of us who are so close to home. And then I thought, what could we do to make people feel more like they have a little piece of Newfoundland wherever they're to? So I called Mom and I said, Mom, why don't we do a series called Cooking with the Nannies in Newfoundland? And so Mom and my mother-in-law and so we sold these boxes. So people paid $150. I shipped them a box, and in that box was like a box of love from Newfoundland. And then they got this was just for Canadian market. If you're out, and then I heard from everyone, all my American and across the pond previous guests, and they were not happy. But we put on it, and then the next one we put on, even if you're not in Canada, then you can buy in and get your own ingredients. So across Canada, everyone received a box which had Mutter's mustard pickles in it, that had salt cod in it, had fatback in it, had Newfoundland savory in it. We did a hand pressed like cup of tea towel. We had peas pudding bags in there. So it was this package, and nobody was allowed to open it until we all signed in online. So, and then me and Mom made fish cakes for an hour. And so it wasn't just making fish cakes like a cooking class. I was reading stories out of like old cookbooks. I had all my props and my grandfather's jigger and the whole salt cod. And so while the onions were cooking, we were talking about this. And so it became more about just a cooking class. And I kept selling them out. So I kept putting up more. Now, like my in-person stuff, I also kept it really small. This one in particular, where people would sign on and cook in this like very intimate setting, was just carried over from my regular business. And they would sign in. I had, I think, a maximum of 15 people on these. You know, where it's going is anyone's guess, right? The recipes will continue because it's our give back. It's, you know, we're cooking anyway. In terms of the online stuff, I will continue to be online more than ever. It has been, I have never had a more profitable down season, as we call it. I'm busier than ever. I've done series of workshops for Atlas Obscura, which is an American travel company out of New York. They had their guests come up for a couple of years. I took them out on the beach. We did big Eat It Wild dinners and stuff with them. And now all of a sudden you're signing in and people are paying $75 a head for, and we had like 300 people sign in to do that. So that quickly, you know, generates an incredible amount of revenue, right? And you realize that there's a lot of people out there who I can still tell the stories in Newfoundland to. And so that's what, you know, I've been doing. So it's been all over the place. It's been from doing presentations for Nalcor Energy or the Canadian Wildlife Federation or youth groups or Nature Conservancy. And so it's really incredible how everyone has caught up so quick. And so you're constantly playing catch up. So where it's going to go is anyone's guess. But I think there'll always, I'm realizing now, there'll always be a market for this kind of stuff. I don't think it's going anywhere. I think it will just continue to grow. And so I'll continue to change and evolve with it.
I can't wait to see what you do next in that case, because this has been fantastic. Okay, I'm going to jump back over to talk about Marika and creating content around what's going on with her audience. There's a couple of pieces of content I pulled out here. One which was fantastic, allowing users of her website to virtually explore Newfoundland and Labrador using a list of 10 Instagrammers that she put together. And this is just a great piece of content. Just the idea that, you know, that she would pick out, you know, the best photographers and create a list, essentially allowing, you know, someone who perhaps isn't here to, especially if they went and followed all 10 of those people, to really fill up their Instagram feed with sort of the best imagery from the province. Is such a cool and immersive experience. And then also, you know, companion content like this, which she wrote for the Artisan Insight, find out what Trinity is one of Newfoundland's must-see destinations. It's just such great companion content to, you know, the other things that she's created for the site, and as well another one underneath there, never get bored exploring the Bonavista Peninsula. I mean, this is great content. These are great ideas. It really helps to you know, help your customers to not only plan their trip, but to give them an immersive experience when they can't. Marika, I don't know if you wanted to say a few words about what sort of where the inspiration to create this stuff came from, and you know, what kind of feedback you've had from it.
Well, for the Instagram one, part of that was, you know, that's found when you go actually under our section of the website called COVID-19 updates, which, you know, when this originally started, it was so negative. Like, it was a section of like, yep, we don't know what's happening. We don't know if we can operate. You know, we're figuring out how to deal with your cancellations. And I was finding that like people were genuinely upset about not being able to come to Newfoundland. It wasn't just my trip's been canceled, but a lot of them were talking about how they had been planning this trip for quite a while. So I wanted to make sure that when they had to go to that section and receive some pretty dark news, because we also had the link to the Newfoundland Labrador COVID updates, so people could always really easily see directly from the government what was happening and not so much just rely on what we were telling them and trying to keep them up to date on. So I originally actually, and I just never had time to do it in the end, but the first few cancellations, I was actually emailing out book lists of books that you could read while you're waiting to come, Spotify playlists
Oh, that's so
of
sweet.
things that you could listen to while you're waiting. And especially with the Instagram thing, you know, we realize now some of these people are already shifting again from 2021 to 2022. Well, that's 2 years that they're going to have those Instagram pictures still kind of flowing through. And it was a little bit more inspiring than just saying follow our Instagram. So that was kind of the inspiration behind that. We've always been really big on itinerary planning and informing about the entire area and not just our accommodation. And for us, the win is it increases length of stay for people. You know, we could fill up all our accommodations for one night stays, but we wanted people to stay for longer, not just because it was easier for us, but we find people that booked for one night would show up, and when they found out on the spot what there was to do, they would actually become very irate and upset because they're arriving at 4 p.m., finding out that there's all these things they can do, but they have to check out by 10 a.m. so that they can make it to the next destination in time. So making sure that people, if they're going to make that big bucket list trip, are getting exactly what they want, they understand it ahead of time, and also using it as filler content. A lot of people see when something's not, they see what's not open. We actually worked quite a lot with Lori when the government started really focusing on the shoulder season. They see that a lot of businesses aren't open, so they think nothing's open, there's nothing to do. So we would write these multi-day itineraries that were really based on, you know, driving to the geological wonders, how to fill it up with hiking trail. You only need one coffee shop to be open between 2 hiking trails. You don't need all the options. And I think once you put that together for people and plan it for them, it's a lot easier for them to commit to that trip and do that. And even if people are coming to our website and not booking with us, they still have a brand awareness. They might recommend it to someone else. They might eat with us, even though they couldn't get in with us. So even if all my efforts are helping to fill up the accommodations next door, that doesn't really matter so much to me, because the more the whole area is doing well, more businesses are going to invest. So I think we all have to take a little bit of responsibility ourselves in doing that, not solely relying on the Newfoundland Labrador tourism team to know all the itineraries to write. You know, you guys have to be fair to all destinations too and give everyone kind of equal voice. So I really would recommend that if anyone does have creative ways of explaining that and presenting that to people, you know, take it on to do it yourself. If you don't have the same control over your website that I do, like I actually design all the content for our website, just start a blog that you can link to your website. You don't need to be that technologically aware to be able to do that add-on. So
that is great. That's awesome. Yeah, totally agree with all that. That's fantastic. You wanted to talk a little bit about your updates, and this is something that I love because it's consistent communication. And I know this is something we talked about last year, where we said, you know, if you're an operator and you're not going to open, you should communicate that you're not going to open. If you are going to open, great, you need to communicate that. If you're not sure, tell your audience that you're not sure. But in this case, you've gone even a step further, and you have a whole section on your site just around COVID updates.
Yeah, and it also allows people to see kind of the history of the updates too. Like it's an interesting time capsule of it, seeing how we progressed. Dating your updates on your website is really important, because we all get distracted, and sometimes I've put information up that was really relevant at the time, and then 2 or 3 months later, it's not relevant anymore, but I've forgotten that it's there. So just even showing that it's there, you know, someone knows right now that my last update, which kind of actually ran through a synopsis of how the last year went, saying that, you know, it actually went better than expected. We feel really confident that we're going to make it through this. You know, it might not be easy, but we'll get there, which for a business like us with accommodations, people have deposits with us, and a lot of people had to make a choice between getting refunds or leaving their deposits with us. If someone has the slightest bit of concern that your business is going to go bankrupt and they're going to lose their deposit, they're probably going to say, I'm going to take my money back and I'll rebook with you later. But if you're giving them an indication that, you know, you really do feel like you're going to make it through and be okay, they're more likely to actually leave that deposit with you, helping you actually make it through and be okay. And then, you know, certainly one of the big complaints we saw on Staycation and L and this and that is people saying, no, I'm planning my whole trip. And then when I finally go to book, you know, we find out that this isn't available, that isn't available. You know, I really do feel like honesty is the best policy. You don't want someone having that negative association of spending that much time planning something or getting excited about something and then finding out they can't have it. So when we did our updates, we left our website intact with how we described what kind of activities were around, but we had a special page that was for 2020. We didn't just list what was open, we listed also what was closed or what places saying that they had no idea, so that people could plan their actual trip versus showing up to Trinity and saying, well, I'm going to drive up to the Bonavista Social Club and have dinner tonight, and then find out that this season they had decided not to open. That becomes very tough on the spot. And even if it's different businesses, it can still impact how people are viewing their experience with you. And you can do that in a way too, that you're linking to the other businesses saying, hey, check for their updates, but right now, this is what they've been communicating. When it came to staycation and now, for us, we tend to be in a higher price point than what a lot of those people are, those guests are looking for. So for us, instead of constantly trying to promote our accommodations and have people come back and say, that's outrageous, it's too expensive, whatever, whenever someone asked a question of what's there to do in this area, we just sent a link to our website for that specific page. We were giving them content they had asked for. If they perused around our website and found something they liked with regards to a brand, great. If not, we help them out in a way they think about us positively, whether or not they are our client or not. So those are all ways to, it's a lot of work in the front end, but it made things a lot easier and actually reduced a lot of emails that I had to write, when you can just copy and paste a link and send it to people constantly versus constantly retyping and re-explaining, you can focus your attention more on running your business and getting through this.
Man, that's a great model. That is a truly great model you created there. So that dovetails nicely into point 3, which talks about listening to your audience. So some of the questions that we get at Newfoundland and Labrador Tourism revolve around, how can I listen in social media and how can I have an idea of what's going on? There's just one example of, there's a free tool called Hootsuite, which allows you to connect your social media channels to it and to run different searches, which are geo-targeted and based on different keywords. So if you're interested in what people are saying about, say, whales in maybe the Twillingate area or whales in, St. Anthony, there are searches that you can create for that. And there's also just a reminder that Newfoundland and Labrador Tourism has several social media channels where you can get involved in answering relevant trip-related questions. So one example here, and no surprise, I just happened to stumble upon this. I wasn't actually trying to find something that Marika had answered, but I just wanted to show this as a really good example. This was from a Newfoundland and Labrador Tourism Facebook post. So this was not from the Artisan Inn. Where someone had posted a comment where they talked about how much they loved going to Trinity. They also happen to love going to the Artisan Inn and they can't wait to visit. And there's Marika with a nice reply just saying, thanks. We actually made an okay go of it running the inn in 2020. We look forward to reopening in 2021. So just, doing a good job of listening in on the channels just to see what's going on, and then having just a reassuring reply, just talking about things are okay. We're looking forward to what's going on. So she's just being consistent, clear, and just being upfront with her messaging. So I also wanted to just show an opportunity. We, especially recently, we get hundreds and hundreds of comments every week on our Facebook posts. And then when you include Instagram, it's into the thousands, I would say, especially depending on the type of content we're posting. Sometimes we get more comments or less, but we get a lot of people either making comments, but occasionally asking questions. And as we get to the point where people are going to be able to travel again as restrictions ease, this is something that we recommend for all tourism operators. If there's an opportunity to answer a relevant trip planning question, by all means, go ahead. So I quickly just chose one. This was a comment from someone who was kind of making a tongue-in-cheek remark, I think, about the last time they visited. I just happened to pick Trinity. It could be anywhere. The winds were so strong, it was impossible to stay outside. It was August. So here's a great opportunity. I think dovetails nicely with what Marika was talking about, where this is a chance for you to talk about, other things that aren't necessarily outdoors. You could say, well, while, you can't spend every second outside, there's indoor activities, there's restaurants, there's museums, there's cafes. If you happen to say run a cafe, you could say, we happen to make a mean green tea or whatever it is, ask for so-and-so and I'll make sure you're taken care of, etc. And you can also thread that in if you're not if travel restrictions haven't eased yet, or you're not sure about the status of whether or not you're going to open, you can feather in messaging about when you do come back or when it is safe to travel. Here are some things that you should put on your bucket list. Okay, so the last point I was going to make was just talking about engaging with us. So there's two Newfoundland Labrador tourism properties that I wanted to talk about, stayhomeyear.ca, which Shelley and Caroline touched on earlier, and Iceberg Finder. So with stayhomeyear.ca, we have a gallery of UGC images. So that stands for user generated content. It's essentially just photos that people would have posted on Facebook and Instagram. And we've asked them if it's okay to share the imagery in the gallery. And one of the cool features about the technology that we use is we're able to tag those images. If the image happens to mention, say, an operator, or it happens to be taken by an operator, we can actually tag you in the image so that if a user is on stayhomeyear.ca, they scroll down, they open the gallery, and they look at an image, they can get a direct link right to your user profile. And the same thing goes for icebergfinder.com. So if you happen to take a picture from the deck of your bed and breakfast, you can post that to icebergfinder.com. You can let everyone know where the icebergs are, and then you can also add in. Well, if you mention it in the description, we'll actually add it to the photo. So that's just another way that we can help to funnel users, potential customers, etc., and an audience directly to your profile. So this is an example of the gallery on stayhomeyear.ca, and I just put in a little interesting stat there that last year it had 103% engagement rate. So this kind of helps to speak to the power of user-generated content. It's not always enough for us to just post pretty pictures that we've taken as a brand, as a DMO. It's not always just enough for us to tell people what an amazing place this province is, or what an amazing place it is to travel around if you're a resident. But the UGC gallery is really a social proof, because this isn't us taking pictures. It's other people, it's residents, it's travelers, and they are excited and proud to show off the places they went and the fantastic operators that they went to. They want to talk about the boil up that they had and the scenery and the hidden gem that they discovered. And in doing so, it allows us to help to promote that as well. And one of the ways we do that is through our UGC gallery. So what that tag looks like, I was just going to show you quickly. This is an example from Gross Morin. So someone took this picture and they would have used one of our official hashtags, and we were able to see where it is, and we were able to add this tag, which goes directly to this happens to be Parks Canada's operator profile. But I also wanted to show you what it looks like on Iceberg Finder. So this is the old Saltbox Co. So this was taken in Fogo. There's a pretty cool picture of the iceberg through the narrows there of a couple of buildings. And we were able to see that it was taken by them, with a view from one of their properties. And so that in and of itself is relevant enough, and we were able to tag it as well. So if there's a user who's on icebergfinder.com, they see this image, and they're interested to know not only where was the picture taken, but, oh, by the way, there also happens to be one of our accommodators that you could stay with in order to get these great views. So that's just another one of the ways that we try to provide opportunities to engage with us. So just a reminder, for the UGC gallery, for Stay Home Year, the hashtag that we're going to use is just Stay Home Year. Last year it was Stay Home Year 2020, but unfortunately this is, we're now into our second year. Explore NL is our official hashtag. For Iceberg Finder, our iceberg hashtag is icebergsNL, And that is the website where you can actually, if you've been out and you've taken a picture with your smartphone, you can submit it right from your phone to icebergfinder.com. As a reminder, our Facebook page, or our two big channels. Number one channel would be Facebook, which is Newfoundland Labrador Tourism. And you can find us on Instagram as well, at Newfoundland Labrador. And that's really it for me. I just want to definitely first thank Lori McCarthy, and I want to thank Marika Gao for coming on and helping to talk about all the great things that they've done. I guess it's time to wrap up, and I'm looking forward to taking your questions in the breakout room. So that is it for me.
Thanks, Lori. Great job, ladies, as well. Great way to, here's how you guys engage your folks. Lori, the sad part of the stayhomeyear.ca, it might end up having an S on the end of the R there. It might be stayhomeyears.ca. So that's a bit depressing, but that's the way it goes.
Stan.
I know, it's sad, man. So, okay, we're going to jump into different breakout rooms, the iceberg room and the puffin room, and then that'll take us the next 10 minutes. Curtis is going to send us off using the powers that he has, and then we'll come back for about a minute at the very end just to kind of regroup and say thanks to y'all. So Curtis will send us upon our way. I believe it just works where you accept his invitation to go into a breakout room, and then we'll turn on our cameras and see each other then. So see you in a second.
And away you go.
Excellent job, guys. I'm looking forward to doing this all over again on Wednesday. That was a great session, great presenter. It's really interesting stuff. Well done. So for the folks that had registered, obviously there's a big industry out there, and there was just a small number of us, 30 odd on this call. So if you know operators out there that could benefit of sessions like this, have them reach out to H&L. It's important for them to let us know what they're thinking, what they're doing, what they're trying to do. H&L is always open for any type of support they can help an operator with and really move this whole industry along. So big thanks to Carol Ann and to Shelley and to Lori, as well as our operators, Karen, another Lori, and Marika. So if you have any questions or comments, reach out to a staff member at H&L. Remember, we're doing these sessions again on Wednesday. So if you missed one of the sessions this morning, you can tune in and try to register for them on Wednesday. Otherwise, thanks so much, guys. Great job. Have a good day, and we'll see you all soon. Cheers.